Hi, this is Stephanie Nadolny, OG voice actor for Dragonball and Dragon Ball Z and vocalist, and you're listening to the FSF Podcast.
The show that makes Fozzie's Waka 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 jokes seem a whole lot gooder. Our show is brought to you by our charity sponsor, the Red Shirt Widows and Orphans Fund, which supports the Wish Upon a Teen Foundation that helps out sick kids when they need it most. And just imagine the comfort you'll give Red Shirt crewman 1993. He'll know that when he puts on the red shirt and joins the crew of the Enterprise in their struggle against Frieza, that he didn't leave his family destitute and without hope, because the Red Shirt Widows and Orphans Fund has his back and what's left of Gohan's arm. All right, guys, welcome to the FSF Podcast. Today, we're very excited to have a special guest getting ready to come on the screen and talk to us, but we also have an amazing guest host today. I'm very excited to welcome Jason, our good friend from the Three Geeks Podcast. He's sitting in with us today, and he's going to help us interview a voice actor who has voiced several variations of Kid Gohan, Kid Goku, and the Dragon Ball universe. But that's not the only thing that she does. She is an amazing singer. She has many other voice acting credits, and her IMDb resume is filled to the brim with anime and on-camera credits and a whole bunch of fun stuff that you guys can go check out. So we are so very excited and pleased as punch, you might say, to welcome Stephanie Nadolny to the FSF Podcast. Welcome to the show, Stephanie.
Hi, guys. Happy to be here. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, glad to have you. And welcome, Jay. This is for as many times as you've been a guest on our live show, this is the first time you've been a co-host with us. So this will be fun.
Yeah, it's gonna be fun. I've had you on for a few interviews, so we've done this before, just not on this side, I think.
Yeah, just in a little bit different variation. So it's been, we'll make it work. We'll stumble through. We'll get it done. Yeah. All right, Stephanie. Jason and I both are very excited about meeting you in person at the Monroe Pop Fest in Monroe, Michigan on September 15th and 16th. We're also looking forward to talking with you on doing a voice panel with another voice actor, Danny Jacobs, who's the voice of King Julien from Madagascar movies and TV shows.
Oh, wonderful.
So that should be a lot of fun. Clearly, though, you are no stranger to the convention circuit. You do a lot of conventions and you do a lot of really cool stuff with your fans and followers when they come to the conventions and the expos. And I've been watching some other interviews that you've done and some of the stuff and interactions you've had with fans at the shows. And I was like, man, that's really cool. It appears that you really have a lot of fun in doing those. But I always wonder when it comes to those, it can't always be easy. So what is something you have come to love about working at the fan shows and expos over the years?
I love people anyway. So put me in front of people and around people, whether I'm at a convention or at the grocery store, I'm going to be open to chatting with anyone. I'm mostly lived and from the South, where it's super friendly. Y'all come back, and grew up in Memphis, Tennessee, and Houston, and all over Texas, parts of Oklahoma and Kansas, but mostly in Texas, really. So I guess I'm a Texan just because I've been here for so long. Over 30 years of my life, well over half of my life has been in Texas. So it's easy for me because I genuinely love people, and I'm always interested in what the fans have to say, meeting their families. They bring their kids. I love seeing the cosplay, interactions, hearing about what they love most about the show. I'm absolutely 100% about giving them 100% of my attention. I like to hear their stories of growing up. A lot of people say, hey, you're one of the voices of my childhood. And I'm like, did I do a good job? Was I a good babysitter? And I just genuinely appreciate their support. Even if they just come to the table to talk, that's totally welcomed. I'm not a wham bam, hand me your money for an autograph. That's just not how I do things. It's a bonus when they do, purchase an autograph, or if they bring items. That's another fun part, is they bring amazing items for me to sign. Some of these things I've never seen before, whether it be like something they got as a kid and it's now something that's worth a lot of money, or it could be something that they got online or on eBay, or some things from Japan, or they might have a really cool shirt or a neat poster, or, it's really fun to see what these items are. And some have multiple signatures, from people from all over, whether it be the Funimation dub or the OG Ocean dub. So I get to see all of the different signatures and some of the people that I've met over the years, whether it be through work or other, the convention circuit. So I generally enjoy it. It's not work to me at all. It's great that I can participate in something that I love so much and find a way to make a living at it. And, it becomes a livelihood. So,
I've been doing
excellent.
the con thing for quite a while. I got to ask, have you had any fans give you stuff like artwork or designs?
I have gotten some gifts here and there, and I've gotten ideas for things that I like to purchase myself, whether it be my favorite thing right now is my Super Saiyan Gohan kimono that I got on my birthday in Colorado this past May. That's one of my favorite things because I can just wear it, throw it on for pictures, and just have a lot of it's kind of like a prop. And every once in a while I do get some original artwork. A lot of times, when they give me a gift and like, hey, if you want to sign, I'll sign that, no charge. And then we just kind of do like a little fun little trade and it makes them happy. And if I really like the artwork and I'm looking for new artwork for my table, I'll consider working out a deal where I can get their artwork printed, get the high resolution and print it out and have it featured on my table. I like to kind of freshen up my table merchandise occasionally just to kind of keep it interesting and different, and have options that they can pick from. So some Goku and on one side and some Gohan in different forms, and sometimes I bring some unique merchandise that I choose myself, or sometimes I'll have some cool T-shirts and stuff like that. So I just like seeing what they've got. Some of this stuff is really, really cool, and it's like, oh, I've never seen that before, and I've signed interesting things, and sometimes I'll sign the back of, Goku's head in silver, or I'll sign the backside or the bobo, of a figure if they want it signed on the back of a figure. Well, there you have it, So it's just fun. It's something different every time. I meet different people from all over. Some people travel from far distances to come, hang out. It's an honor. It's a treat.
That's awesome. So I watch a lot of movies and television, and this question I ask on Three Geeks Podcast all the time, mainly because I'm looking for recommendations. But what was the movie or TV show that made you say, this is what I want to do?
What inspired me? You mean like as my career?
Yeah, like something that the movie or TV show that inspired you. Like, I really want to do this.
Well, I kind of knew the farthest back memories of being a child, I knew I wanted to be a singer. I heard Donna Summer sing, and I listened to a lot of disco records growing up as a very, very young child. And my first memories include those of the music that my mother and father listened to. We had a nice, this one thing we always had is we had a really good stereo because my parents were really into good music. And as a result, I was exposed to a lot of really amazing music. So for me, it was singing first, and then the voice acting came later. I already was starting to use my voice to mimic and, kind of tease my brother and my stepbrothers and my friends. So I was, once I started getting into cartoons, I would have to say, I guess Looney Tunes. I mean, I watched Looney Tunes in the morning. So as a young child, so I guess it would be Mel Blanc. But I mean, I didn't necessarily think in my head, oh, I want to do that, because as a kid, I didn't really think of that as a profession. I didn't really understand. I mean, I was just more into like using my voice and singing. So then I got into musical theater, and from there, I continued to use my voice to mimic and to make my own shows. I would make my toys talk to each other. Like my Barbies would have different voices. When I would read my own stories at night, I would read them sometimes out loud in different character voices. So I was very creative and imaginative, and literally could just be left alone for hours and entertain myself, even as an infant, as a baby. So that's what I found to be entertaining. And then once I got my hands on a way to record myself and record whether it be piano or me singing or me writing a song or being silly, cassette player was kind of my best friend for a while. I would carry that thing everywhere, and I would have extra blank tapes and batteries for it so that it would always have power. And then there was the Sony Walkman, and I could listen to the things I'd recorded. And I just became really creative with making up my own shows with different characters, whether I be the one interviewing or the one responding. And so I got really creative with that. And then from there, it was musical theater and dance and ballet, tap. I got involved in community theater, and then anything involving performance and entertaining others became my favorite thing to do. So I did anything and everything I could, but we moved every couple of years. So I was constantly being uprooted and kind of the new girl in the new, in the small towns, which was a big challenge for anybody, no matter what you like to do. And so that was just what I always gravitated towards. And to this day, I'm just fascinated by anything involving the voice, whether it be mimicking, stand-up comedy, improv, and all of those things involve the voice. But my first love has always been, and to this day, is singing music and music performance and vocal performance mainly.
Do you find the skills translate? Like with music, you got to hit a note, and with voice acting, you got to find the voice. Does being good at one help with the other?
For me, it has. For me, it just kind of makes sense. It's kind of like using the voice, but then using it in a different way, becoming a character and using honing the acting skills through the musical theater and through the acting. In fact, I went to college for acting, but joined a show band and was on the road with a touring show band that involved everything. It was singing, dancing, acting, costume changes, makeup, costume design, everything. So for me, having a sense of rhythm and timing as a singer and as a musician, taking piano lessons and things like that, it helped me with the English dubbing because we were matching lip flaps. We were timing out the dialogue and the reactions, whether you're on screen or not. It was really helpful for me to have that background with music and the theory and all the things that kind of support being a vocalist, and also being able to have such a comfort with my voice and what it's capable of. That way I can basically make my voice sound different and unique.
Sure.
And I was doing that already for fun with my friends and prank calling them and experimenting with all kinds of different voices and then mimicking what I hear on TV, Beavis and Butthead or whatever. It's for me, it's a challenge every day. And even if I'm just walking around the house talking to my dog or hanging out, with my guy, it's like I do it for fun and I'm silly like that. So every time I do it, it's more practice. So I started as a kid. And little did I know over time that it really contributed more to my career, my overall vocal career, than I ever thought it could. So for me, music and voice acting, it's just another extension of using the voice and manipulating it and creating characters and sounds based on just simply using my voice.
It's interesting to me with the number of voice actors we've talked to on the FSF podcast, how many have actually commented something similar to what you just said. Whether it's been, we talked with Rob Paulson. He grew up in bands in the Detroit area and doing all these different things. Different other voice actors, they weren't in bands, but they were singers. They did musical theater, all these different things. And they all stressed the importance. And you mentioned it, the timing of music and how that went from one thing to the other. And so I have always find that interesting how that's a common thread with almost every voice actor we talk to has some level of musical background somewhere.
I met Rob Paulson years ago, probably about 5 years ago. Ended up at the same convention in California. We had a really good time. And I do remember him talking about his history with music and things like that. So
Rob's a trip.
It just helps. It basically helps train you to be just more efficient and not just good at what you do, because you can create these different sounds and different characters that are unique to each character, but you can also work with that timing. And for me personally, once I started doing the work that, showing up for work and doing this English, dub for Dragonball Z, which was the first anime character I was cast in, it just came natural. And once I started learning the groove of taking direction and incorporating that part of it, of course, we were using paper scripts and, rewinding and fast forwarding back then, and use, headphones. And there was not really much computer use back then. I mean, there was on the ADR end of things and the engineering, but and with me being good with memorization, that helped me too. Like I'm being a singer, songwriter, performer, you know, I had to have all of my songs memorized. And by having that capability at a young age of memorization, that's how I learned the preamble or whatever, when we had to learn, you know, in school, the capitals of all the states, I would make songs out of them. I would write songs and sing them in my room. And so that capability of being able to memorize the script, like a line or two within seconds, was also helpful to have that ability. Then you could really focus on the acting and really making sure that you're doing a good job with the character, staying in character and really delivering those lines and making it believable.
I do have one more question for you about music, though. And I found this on I don't remember what website it was on, but it was a bio about you that talked about your musical background and all the different things that you had done in your life. And it said the following. It said that you performed anywhere between the Superdome to the Super Bowl, from the Waldorf Astoria to the White House.
Right.
Now, I have to imagine that performing at a Super Bowl and performing at the White House both have their own different levels of nerves. Let's go with nerves. Yeah. So the different level of nerves that are produced. So what Super Bowl did you perform at, and who was the president at the White House?
Oh yeah, this was back in the 90s, early to mid 90s. So at the White House, it was President Clinton was president. We performed, the band I was performing with, Vince Vance and the Valiants, featuring the Vivacious Vixens of Rock and Roll, Venus, Violet, and Victoria. There were 3 girl singers, and it was kind of like a band that was like the B-52s meets Sha Na Na, and we had our lead singer with his hair sticking straight up, big giant pompadour. Vince Vance and the Valiants, you know, originated 52 years ago in 71. I joined in 91, and we traveled all over the place, and we did anything from corporate parties to special events, festivals, clubs, nightclubs. We did a lot of nightclubs, weddings, mostly corporate events, all over the United States and we did parts of Canada and Europe. But the White House event was the Easter egg roll. And so I vividly remember performing there. And we were also sharing the stage with some famous people. Like we had Raven Simone and Marcia from the Brady Bunch, the original Maureen McCormick.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So now we personally didn't get to meet the president. We didn't get to go inside, but we were on the lawn, and our boss, Vince Vance, did manage to get to meet them. And he has a picture with, you know, President Clinton, Hillary and Bill Clinton. And
that's
so
cool.
It was a pretty cool experience. And then of course, getting to roam around and sightsee that entire area was cool. And the Waldorf Astoria, of course, New York City. I mean, that was like one of the most prestigious gigs we ever did. And it was just fascinating. I mean, being in front of that kind of an audience, and some of our audiences were ginormous. I mean, thousands and thousands of people. Freiburg, Maine, we did the Freiburg State Fair, and wow, I mean, you're just, and it's always different. You know, we were traveling a lot, sleeping on we were really road warriors. I mean, we were sometimes not even getting a shower that day, or we couldn't check into our hotel. There wasn't time. From setup to sound check to getting prepped for the show, learning new material, rehearsing, and then actually performing. And then there's the tear down, and then you put your costumes away, and then you have to pack everything up. So it was really, truly, genuinely road warrior touring. I mean, big giant
sounds
show.
like it.
Entourage. But most of the time we were on a tour bus, which was very helpful because then we could just drive everywhere, but we were on the road a lot of the time, and we were away from home. But a lot of us were young then. We were in our 20s and 30s. You know, we could handle it. It was our dream and our passion, and for the love of the performance and being on stage, it always outweighed the bus breaking down, or not getting your luggage, or, you know, there was all kinds of stuff. You know, you might not know if you're going to eat, when you're going to eat, what you're going to eat. If you're sick, you're sick. You sing through it. You figure it out. The show must go on, you know. But when you love it and it's in your blood, you know, a lot of these people I worked with, it was in their blood. I mean, Vince Vance was he will die doing what he does. Like, and if that means on stage, well, then so be it. And I could totally relate to that. You kind of have to be cut from a different clay, because, you know, traveling and being away all the time isn't for everybody. Living out of a suitcase, or being away from family, or whatever it is you have at home. And then others really love it. I mean, there's I almost went away on a cruise ship to do what I was doing. But I just preferred, sticking with my show band, and then eventually got off the road for a while and performed with some local groups. We had a show band called the High Rollers. We were the senior breakfast band for the Windstar World Casino. So we were kind of handpicked, all of us from the industry. We worked with some of the best musicians in the entire state, if not beyond that. 4-part harmonies. We rehearsed every week. My band leader, Dan Bradford, is still in my life. He's my bass player. We've known each other and worked together on and off the stage now for 20 years. So I'm just very honored that I've been able to work with such amazing people that have such amazing talent, that I can just pretty much handpick. If I wanted to record something, I've got the band, I've got the bass player, I've got the drummer, I've got these people in my back pocket. So whenever it's time to go to the studio or come up with something creative, I've made, long-term relationships with some of the most talented people out there. And it's just been an honor. I miss it a lot, and I'm definitely not done with any of it. I'm going to be working in the studio again, hopefully very soon, and hopefully getting some of my music up on Spotify in the coming month or two. So
excellent.
Yeah, please let us know when it's up. But I got to ask you, I was searching your IMDb. IMDb is one of my favorite pages of all time. And this is probably a much smaller blip on your radar because everything that you've done has been so huge. But I got to ask, I know it was just an uncredited role, but what was the experience like on set for Titanic?
I don't know what that is all about because I think that's an inaccuracy. I was not on the set of Titanic. I'm not sure if they just got me confused with someone, or if maybe somebody just was confused. So as much as I would like to say that that's an accurate credit, it's not. But then there's a lot of things that aren't on my IMDb, so I'm not sure how they compile that information, but that one's not correct. I wish it was.
The number of times actually where this has happened, where we've been interviewing somebody, and so we've started calling on our show, we call IMDb the wiki of the entertainment world, because it's only as accurate as the person who inputs the information. So we've had it a couple different times where we're like, we're so excited, want to talk to you about this thing. It's going to be so awesome. Let's talk about that thing. And they're like, yeah, that wasn't me. Poop.
And a lot of my other stuff, the animation themes that I did for Yu Yu Hakusho, Sayonara Bye Bye, the opening, closing for Kitty Grade, I had a huge hand in the music part of those animation themes. I worked with Brave Combo, and Carl Finch was my my director for that, and that was also through Funimation. So for whatever reason, when I did 6 or 7 of those, sang on these animation themes and helped create English lyrics out of Japanese ones, none of that was credited either. Now, I don't know if that's something that would be on IMDb anyway, but
it should be. I mean, whether you're working in the musical department or, I mean, they have, so if you're, helping behind the scenes, there's even people who have IMDb pages for behind the scenes stuff, as they should be. They should be acknowledged for the work that they're doing. But so there, you can get,
maybe they could be adjusted at some point. But I know there's a lot of that stuff's on YouTube. But for whatever reason, the singer for a lot of these animation themes, whether it's me or somebody else, a lot of times they don't list the vocalist. So it's a little bit hard to find some of that. But I do have some of it uploaded to my website, so they can be listened to there. But as far as my album and some other stuff I worked on in the 90s, it kind of got shelved, and nothing ever came of it. But some really amazing original music that the fans are asking about. So let's get it out there, see what they think, have a listen.
Very cool.
Yeah.
And now, a word from our show sponsor, Level Up Saber. Their link can be found in the show notes.
All right, Stephanie, one of the things that we love to talk with our guests about is their charitable works. Now, we mentioned this in the beginning of the show, in the introduction. We talked about the Red Shirt Widows and Orphans Fund, which we talk about, kind of tongue in cheek and as something silly, but it's also a very serious thing. We do sell this merch guys, link in bio. But we do sell this merch so that we can help support the Wish Upon a Teen Foundation, which has a very special place in my heart because they helped out my daughter during her 97-day hospital stay, and they're just amazing people. It's run by a wonderful woman named Nancy Sovereign out of the Detroit, Michigan area, and they just do some amazing stuff for sick kids when they're stuck in hospitals for a long time. So I always like to talk about the charity work that our guests have done. And you have, and I love the fact that you do, in fact, use your platform and use your voice, or voices, as it may be, to help out those in need. In addition to Breast Cancer Can Stick It, which I absolutely love that because it was a play on words with your friend April being a drummer. Yeah. You've also worked on anti-bullying campaigns as well as working with the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society. So what does it mean to you, Stephanie, to be able to use your position, your platform, to be able to help these types of situations out?
Well, it's a huge part of my heart, and it's a huge passion of mine. Not to get sad, it's a little sad. We all lose people we love. But as the year that I was cast as Gohan, not knowing anything about anime, it was a very early 1999. We started recording that year. I guess I auditioned in 98, and then we started recording in January of 99. Well, that year was right when I got cast was when we found out my mother had been diagnosed with an aggressive form of leukemia due to toxic exposure from a paint plant near where we lived in Kansas when I was there during my high school years. She fought it like just with grace, and she wasn't ready to, none of us are ready to check out, especially not at the age of 50. But she unfortunately she was doing really well. She had a bone marrow transplant from her sister, which saved her life, and then had complications, and then therefore no immune system. And once you have no immune system, you're susceptible to any kind of illness or any kind of, and that ended up taking her life. And it was just completely out of nowhere. She was the matriarch of our entire family. She was the glue, the structure, everything. She was my fortress, my absolute only source at that time anyway. And really, no one's like your mom. No one's like your flesh and blood. The one that brings you into the world is she was my unconditional love and fortress. And so I have a huge, big, giant heart for fighting, the war and crusade against fighting cancer and cancer research. And my mom was a big supporter of that, which is really ironic because it ended up taking her life. And also my best friend, technical director, bassist, also was diagnosed with lymphoma, which is another blood cancer, in 2012, I believe, and was able to catch it early and survived. So blood cancers in particular, being that I've had two of my most important people in my life be affected by that, and one lost her life. So, I've been donating to LLS, Leukemia and Lymphoma Society, since all of this happened. So on the regular, if I've got stuff to donate, it goes there. If I can get it to them, that's my favorite charity, as well as Breast Cancer Can Stick It. It's cancer in general is a horrible thing. So those are my favorites. And then again, another one I'm very active with is any kind of an anti-bullying campaign, being that as a kid growing up, being ripped from school to school at various times, never in the summer, never at a convenient time, never at a good time. I want to count, I think I moved somewhere between 8 and 9 times before the age of 16. These were unfortunately small schools, small towns. And with me being a creative type, hey, I guess you call it a triple threat, singer, dancer, actor. I was not very well received at some of these places, being that.
No.
Yeah. And my peers were just like, who is this person walking in here? Like she's some big, show person. And it's just what I did when I loved. I mean, ever since I was a little kid, I was on the merry-go-round putting on concerts. It's just what I did. That was just my life. Right. So as a result, there was a lot of bullying. There was a lot of making fun of. And I think we all have situations with that. I think that when you move though, and you're constantly being thrown into these situations where you don't want to move, you make your friends and you think you're going to be there at least to graduate with. Right. And that just didn't happen. So, and even adult bullies, there's a lot of them in my industry. And lots of industries. You've got your people that want to see you fail and they want to come after you. And when they hear bad things are happening in your life, they celebrate it. And it's just like, it's just a whole nother dimension of bullying, and you think that that stops when you get older. And I've just been finding that it just simply does not. And you just can't trust everybody. So I'm very passionate about fighting anti-bullying, anti-racism. There's a charity I'm involved with called Pink Thursdays. You wear pink on Thursdays. And then this group goes out and interviews people who stands with them to support the cause. So that's another one I'm involved with, as well as being a speaker at schools. I know there's lots of schools that have asked me to come and chat with the people wanting to go into creative arts, whether it be writing, painting, voice acting, singing, theater. I'm asked on the regular to do that. And, I don't ask for compensation. If I just make it happen, I just figure it out, between my travel, we make it happen. And it's a big deal for them. It's a big deal for me, and everybody's happy. And if I can provide some encouragement and wisdom and just support for those causes, then I absolutely do it. In fact, I have a big heart for kids that have been through a lot of struggles, whether it be addiction or mental health, or maybe their parents are in jail, or they've been surrounded by these unforeseen circumstances that become difficult challenges for them. That's a big deal for me, being that I was ripped from school to school, and I just kind of felt like some of that angst, divorced my parents divorced when I was 6, and all of a sudden I'm out of state and so just a whirlwind. And it's very hard to grow up anyway. And then you get your middle school age and you don't know who you are and where you fit in, if you don't fit in. And so I'm just passionate about helping kids. I love kids, young kids, especially if they've gone through challenges like that. And if they want to get into the line of work that I'm in, well, then let me help. If I can help, I help. And I'm in the process of working with a senator, or maybe he's not a senator. He's involved in the Pennsylvania. He's involved with something with the House of Representatives there, and we're going to try to set up a campaign where I can come and talk to kids and maybe be a speaker, like a speaker kind of thing,
Good.
and just
that's cool. Help
people out. It's hard to grow up, and it's especially when you just don't feel like you know who you are. And that's why I think I also really like these Comic-Cons, because a lot of the attendees are misfits and they're geeks and dweebs, and I think we all are like nerds inside. It just depends on what we are nerdy about. So I'm a big person about embracing people who are misfits, because I'm a misfit, whether you guys know it or not. I mean, I don't really fit into really anything. I'm just kind of, and then being, moved around a lot, I think you can kind of put me anywhere and I'm going to find a way to navigate a conversation with just about anybody. Any
you become a chameleon.
Yeah.
Really.
And that's been a great thing for me to get me through my hard times and my struggles of losing my mom and not being able to have kids and all these things I thought I was going to have. And then just, a lot of broken dreams and, just to pick myself up and figure it out. Take the time you need to get better or seek help, and then you just come back stronger than ever. So it's like I'm kind of in a comeback stage right now. Everybody likes a big comeback, a really
comeback
good
stories are great,
heartwarming comeback. And so through my platform of being Gohan, who went through a lot of struggles that I did in my real life, and when it came time to do those scenes, like in the Cell Saga, I had really lost my mother in real life, and Gohan had lost his father. So there was the father-son Kameo wave, not Kameo wave, but Kameo, big Cell Saga moment with Gohan really trying to come to a point where he finally unleashes all these struggles and angst from all of these horrible things that were happening around him. I really felt like I had real life to draw from to really make those some really good scenes and some really good acting involved.
That's awesome. Yeah, if you can draw from your own personal experiences, I think that adds a sense of realism to whatever you're doing, whether it's on camera acting, it's voice acting. Yeah. It allows you to be able to tie into the character, and as a viewer, it helps me to have a sense of tie to the character, because if I can sense that there's something, now knowing that about you, it'll help me look at your characters a little bit differently too, because now, see, as a kid, there's no way for you to know this, but we moved. I went to like 15 different school districts. I was moving all the time as a kid, and so I didn't have a a steady school till almost 8th grade. We were bouncing around all the time, every couple years, you know, and especially with my mother, my natural father, there was a whole lot of angst and issues there with him. But, you know, so yeah, so a lot of what you were talking about there, I was like, oh yeah, I identify with that. Yeah, that makes sense. And then now, you know, talking about the comeback with the characters as well, and how that was that revival. I'm like, yeah. So it just means you never know what, you know, the things that you were able to put into your characters. I think that's kind of an important lesson there, is that, you know, for all of us, when, you know, we're able to use the things that we go through in life to make something better.
Character. And then there's an emotional connection. And if you're so lucky to get cast in a role that has so much depth and detailed character description, and for it to be an emotional thing, you know, of course you've got your deeply emotional character through Gohan, through the Cell Saga, and then you've got Goku in Dragonball, which is this carefree, strong kid that's with this immense strength that doesn't even understand or know what that is all about. He just is who he is. He's pure of heart, and he's naturally comedic. And so I've got that other side of me that's completely, totally, insanely silly, that absolutely embraced that side of like becoming a little boy who I could never really be in real life, but channeling a lot of that really silly, innocent nature of being a child in general. And so I had that whole flip side of, and they were completely different roles, and I enjoyed them both for different reasons. But the Gohan one more that there's just a multi-layered depth of who he was and what he saw around him, and so much chaos, and him being fiercely loyal to his friends and his loved ones. And then you've got Goku, you just plop him down there and he's like, wow, you must not be pure of heart. You fell through the Nimbus cloud. Oh, well, no big deal. Like, not a mean bone in his body. Totally can get away with, you know, patting people on the crotch to figure out if they're a girl or a boy. It's like, come on, you know. Oh, sometimes it's hard to tell. You are a boy. Just thought I'd check. You know, it's just, who gets away with that? You know, an innocent young boy, Goku does, you know. So
that's funny.
It was fun to play completely different characters that were related. Goku is Gohan's father, so the fact that they sound similar was a good thing. And thankfully, the directors trusted me with those different characters. It's not like I just got cast as one. I was able to kind of use my voice. And of course, at the time, we had a small gene pool of talent, lots of talent in Dallas Fort Worth. It was a smaller company, so a lot of us were playing multiple roles. Especially the background characters, the smaller, you know, the German English teacher, I think. Please open your textbooks to the page 24. I had to come up with that one time, and that worked. East Kai was a total accident. I was in the studio recording and got done early, and the director said, you know, I think we know where we're going with this character. Can you give us your take? What do you think this character would sound like? And I was like, oh my, well, East Kai would sound like this. And it was completely just for fun, silly, insane, melodramatic interpretation of what she would sound like. And I got cast as East Kai just like that. Like, who would have known? She's only in 6 or 7 episodes, but what a fun treat to be able to play just a complete wacky woman character as East Kai. Right. And Baby Trunks is just a bunch of crying. You know, every time Baby Trunks came on the screen, time to do little baby voices. So it's been fun, and I have a lot more voices. I say voices in my head, but there's a lot of more voices in my arsenal that I'd like to utilize at some point whenever the time fits, the project's right, the timing's right, the director likes my voice for it. Let's do it.
There you go.
Yeah.
I have voices in my head too. I just choose not to answer them on most days.
You respond to them?
Only if I'm looking for expert opinions on things, but you know.
Right. So yeah.
Excellent. Very cool. Well, we're going to have links down in the notes down below for each of those that you mentioned, so that if anybody wants to find out more information about LLS or the anti-bullying or the other one, the breast cancer with a stick.
Yeah, and I'm also I'm pretty approachable. I mean, I'm pretty easy to find through my website. I have my fan club email, and if people need donations, I do that on the regular. Just sign items. I've got my own prints I can donate, or I can just reach out to me and ask me what you need. And I also do that on the spot at conventions if they need some extra autographs or some things for some giveaways or some things that
cool.
Increase awareness for silent auctions and things like that where people can donate. And I donate signed items all the time on the regular. So that's another way that I can give back, and I absolutely
Love it. That's great.
Hesitation. Here you go. Good luck with that. And how can I help?
That's very cool.
It's really heartwarming and rewarding to do that as well.
Well, I got one last question for you, and it's what do you prefer doing? Is there any difference between video game voice acting and doing like the shows and stuff?
The methods of recording are different. In my experience, because most of my work has been involved with Dragon Ball Z, Dragon Ball, and Dragon Ball GT. There's still a script, and then you go through and you just do your own lines. You're not in a room with anyone else. And that's why some of us don't really see each other much. Or back in the day, we would only see each other if we had like a cast party. Back when the company was a lot smaller, or when one session was ending and one was beginning, we'd see each other in the hallway, like, "Hey, what's up?" And then now I see my castmates if we appear together at events or signings or comic book stores and things like that. But for me, the difference is it's quite a bit more intense for the video games, because a lot of times, especially with Dragon Ball Z, there's a lot of fight scenes. There's a lot of interactive punching, exertions, and which thankfully came easy for me. I had brothers that picked on me constantly, so it's always like all the time anyways. It's like there's a lot of rapid fire. I tend to leave those sessions kind of sweating. My throat usually is a little raspy, and it's just a little bit more intense. When I record for characters in the show, we would just kind of go from line to line, save all the heavy, crazy, insane screamings for the end of the session. So if you blow your voice out, you blow your voice out. You can leave, drink some water, get some sleep, be quiet for a while, and start again. But I had already been traveling with a show band, and we sang anything from 50s to the 90s. We were singing rock and roll. My voice was being constantly bashed and utilized anyway. So to my advantage, thankfully, when it came time to do a lot of that intense stuff, whether it be the video games or the Cell Saga, my voice was ready for it. And I had to just be ready to sing at the drop of a hat, from traveling and touring and all of that stuff. So it kind of went hand in hand. And the fact that my voice did change over time was just kind of a natural succession to the work I had been doing. So my voice, instead of up high up here, it's naturally a little lower. My natural speaking voice is lowered. When I laugh, sometimes you can hear Goku in there a little bit. So my friends are like, "I heard Goku. That's Gohan laugh. That's Goku laugh." You kind of hear it come out a little bit. So it's kind of became part of my voice. And in fact, it's funny. I was able to utilize that Goku Gohan childlike voice in a lot of radio commercials, and some of the people I'm involved with that do radio ads and commercials will have me come in and be the kids in the background, and then they layer it, and I become like a group of kids. It's like we don't have to necessarily hire kids to do it. They can just bring me in, or whoever has the capability to do those character voices. So that's been a plus. And I also wrote, they're on my website, I believe, and links to, I wrote a song about Halloween, and I got the musicians involved, and we did a song about Halloween. And so I'm singing like Goku and Gohan, but singing in the character voice, which is kind of something, I guess, that's unique as well. Some people can sing, some people can do the voice. My dream job would be like something like Jodie Benson, where she's the voice of Little Mermaid and she sang all of the songs.
Right.
So that's kind of my dream job, is to be able to sing and perform something like that. And that's why I pursued possibly going into Broadway, because that's what you could do live and be on a stage, you're singing and you're voicing a character. So yeah, so there's some stuff on my website that if anyone's interested in hearing some novelty songs, wrote a Christmas song. Dan helped me put together the video for that, so that you have something to watch on YouTube while you're listening. So that's been fun to be able to kind of combine the singing and the voice acting into these creative comedic novelty songs for children.
Nice.
Dragon Ball the musical. Let's go.
Oh, I love it. I love it. I'm ready for that audition. Let's do it.
All right, Stephanie, we have one final question for you. We like to call it our silly question. Now, we used to change this up, and we used to ask all forms of different questions when it got to the end. But in a recent interview a while back, we had somebody, when we asked them this question, and they thought it was a great question because nobody asks you this question when you're an adult anymore. And we thought, well, that's a shame. You should always get asked this question. And that question is, Stephanie Nadolny, what's your favorite dinosaur?
My favorite dinosaur?
Yeah.
T-Rex. Poor guy. His little, he can't reach. Have you seen the little cartoon of the T-Rex that's sitting on the
big head, little
He's
arms.
sitting on the toilet, y'all, and he's
Yeah.
like, oh, and he goes to the restroom and he can't reach toilet paper.
I hope he has a bidet.
But maybe it's just so. I think maybe it's because he looks like the misfit dinosaur because he's like, he's got those struggles. I've got this great big body and I'm strong and I can attack, but I got really short arms. I can relate, you know.
All right. That's a fair answer. He's actually T-Rex is mine too. So
I love the T-Rex. He's kind of cute in a way.
I've always loved the T-Rex, but then I loved the fact that in the Disney movie Meet the Robinsons, he's
Yeah.
trying to do everything. Got a big head, little arms. Anyway,
Yeah. And the
Makes
one
me
that
laugh
can
every
fly is
time.
pretty cool. Who doesn't want to like
Pterodactyl. Yeah, I think
dinosaur
that'd
that
be mine.
flies? That's
Yeah.
pretty cool. Your superpower, you ever get asked what your favorite superpower is? A lot of people say, I wish I could fly
right? Yeah.
or be invisible. Incognito.
Stephanie, thank you so much for joining us today. So where can all the listeners find you online and learn more about your work?
Okay, well, the obvious one would be my website, which is www.stephanienadolny.com. I try to keep my my calendar updated, kind of month by month, so that if anybody wants to come to one of the conventions or one of the comic book stores, or they have something really cool they want me to sign, I try to put all of that there. And I also have a Stephanie Nadolny voice actress page on Facebook. I do have an Instagram. It is Stephanie Nadolny. And my TikTok page, which has really been fun over the past, I've been on TikTok over a year now, and that is just at Steph Nadolny. And so I put up as much as I can, at least once a week, maybe. I try to kind of collect videos when I'm out and about interacting with fans. And so that's really fun. A lot of those are silly and comedic. So those are the main things. And I hopefully will be adding my music to some music platforms, Spotify, CD Baby. I'm not sure, SoundCloud. I don't know. I'm looking into that right now, try to get my album up there as well. And then I've got my YouTube videos, Halloween Rocks and Kids Christmas. I'll be adding some more when time allows.
Well, everybody,
Excellent.
just check the description below, and you guys can find those links right there. Thank you, Stephanie.
All right,
Yeah.
guys, we also want to remind you that subscribing is the single most important thing that you can do to help our show to continue to grow. And go check out Jason and the Three Geeks podcast as well. Give them a subscription. They are awesome, and we love working with them. And, of course, we want you to go check out Stephanie Nadolny, all of her works. You can go to her website, go check her out on YouTube, go check out her music. Stephanie is a multifaceted talent, and we've had an absolute blast with her here today. And we look forward to seeing her in Monroe, Michigan on September 15th and 16th at the Monroe Pop Fest. Come join us. You'll see Jason there, and you'll see me there, and you'll see Stephanie there, and there's a whole slew of people.
I'm so excited.
Yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun. However, if you aren't happy with the content of our show today, please feel free to lodge a complaint with the head of our complaint department. That, of course, is Gohan himself. But not just any old form of Gohan will be handling your complaint. Your complaints, when submitted in duplicate, will be handled by Gohan's strongest power transformation, Gohan Beast. So know that your complaint will be taken care of, and the object of your complaint, the one or ones who drew your ire, are in trouble. Some would say danger even. So when you write to complain that we included Jason from the Three Geeks podcast, just be gentle. Remember, he only recently learned how to count how many geeks there actually are in his show.
Sure. Thanks. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Stephanie. Jason, thank you so much for helping out today.
Thank you, guys. Thanks, Jason. I really appreciate it. Had a lot of fun. Glad this worked out. I'm looking forward to meeting everybody there at Pop Fest.
Could be a lot of fun. All right, guys, that's going to wrap us up today for the FSF Podcast. And, of course, Three Geeks as well. Goodbye.
Bye.
Copyright 2023 FSF Podcast. Reference to any specific product or entity mentioned on this podcast does not constitute an endorsement or recommendation by FSF Podcast. The views expressed by the guests are their own, and their appearance on the program does not imply an endorsement of them or any entity they represent. If you have any questions about this disclaimer, please contact us via email at info@fsfpodcast.com. Original music by Jordan Michaels.